I just peed a little.
You know, it takes a lot of balls to admit you stunk the bed with the film, and color me surprised, Michael Bay did just that with Revenge of the Fallen. And he wasn't the only one to hold such an opinion. Shia LaBeouf went on record stating,
"Given a bunch of money, we were given a bunch of toys, and we had no script.
No filter when talking about Revenge of the Worthless. Now, even myself, I can enjoy the worst. And with Revenge of the Fallen, despite many of its faults, it was just a goofy, action-bloated film that I didn't take too seriously. But narratively speaking, this franchise was doomed. And it took a writer's strike leading to Michael Bay prisoning his writers while production rolled for a couple of months to come up with the most dysfunctional story, breaking its own rules if it had any plot holes, sidelining the Transformers in a Transformers movie. That's a very bold strategy. A lot of issues Michael and his team painted over the sequel, so with the negative feed from both ends nuking the film into an oblivion, Michael wanted to take a break for some time. He didn't want to rush the third one like he did with Revenge of the Fallen, maybe make another movie in between the two to keep things fresh for himself, not repeating the same mistake.
First thought he'd take a break between Transformers 2 and Transformers 3.
Just like the sky being blue, we get to know why Michael Bay was one of the most tough, fast, and hard-working directors.
I said 15 seconds!
And yes, it's mostly a compliment. His biggest worry for taking a break was losing the people who he worked with. If there's one thing anyone can agree with Michael Bay, whether you hate his style, him throwing a story over the edge in favor of spectacle, he loved to stay loyal with the same crew. It's been on record how many of them loved working with him. Well, most people. If the writing wasn't on the wall already. Michael Bay wanted a bigger movie, more Transformers, more Sweet John Turturro. A very cool fact, this was the first Transformers movie I saw on the big screen. Yes, 07 was my introduction to new robot designs, a much more grittier and broader take on Transformers. Less kid-friendly, more dark and grounded in a very small way. Now, 4 years later, after the first one, Transformers peaked well in terms of box office. Some did not believe Michael would make a better one, and the third one will only be as bad as the second one or worse. Well, it was received poorly, but you had a lot of reviewers, like on YouTube, still saying they had fun despite how narratively convoluted it was. Dark of the Moon is a showcase of what 90% people want to see in these movies. Less of this and more of this. Seems like they've really understood that, as the last hour is pretty much Michael Bayism with the Transformers. And not the bad isms, but the good isms. And Steve Jablonsky scored feeling like this is truly the end of an era. Oh, so we thought. I think I should go over the plot now.
We were once a peaceful race.
The film opens up with the Battle of Cybertron, which seems like the end of days, given the narration from Optimus Prime hinting the Autobots' defeat. The Ark, holding special technology, is shot out by Decepticons crash landing on the moon. Remember the moon landing? Yeah, the reason the Americans decided to go to the moon was because of a conspiracy of a UFO landing on that big rock. The race to beat the Russians to be the first ones? Yeah, no, for pride. And the first discovery of alien race, the American way. Neil and Buzz take their first steps and enter the Ark, seeing a bunch of dead robots, but with so much limited time, they only gather what they can. But fail to realize, because of the ship, an apocalypse will occur 50 years later. Present day, Sam has a new girlfriend after Megan Fox compared Michael Bay to a name I shall not mention, cause he ain't on YouTube nowadays. Sam is having struggles finding a new job, running around telling every company he saved the world and received a medal from the president, until John Malkovich hires Sam, which ends up biting him in the ass later. Back at the Nest base, an angry Optimus Prime is furious with Director Meering for hiding Cybertronian technology from them. But a nice sigh of relief from Optimus Prime realizing the Ark which carried his master Sentinel Prime is still on that very big rock. But a plan has already been in place for so many years, and Optimus is just running himself into a trap. You see, Megatron wants Optimus to retrieve Sentinel, where narratively you actually have to look back and you actually notice some problems. So him crash landing for the Allspark, retconned. Was Fallen aware of Megatron's plan with Sentinel? We don't know. The Matrix was lost, so I'm trying to make a sense of this right now, and I shouldn't. Sentinel Prime has been revived by the Matrix, and he's been gone for so long that they only retrieved 5 pillars, which he claims they've had hundreds. Well, this will kickstart events from now on till last night. Oh boy. The trust is brewing between the humans and Sentinel, but Detective Sand, like he was someone from True Detective, solves that the Decepticons need Sentinel to use the pillars. It's too late for our boy Iron Knight as he bites the dust, literally. Fun fact, the reason Iron Knight was killed off because GMC stopped making the Top Kick vehicle. Must suck that your fate was determined because the vehicle you used has been discontinued. It's not like they could have gotten another pickup, no, they had to waste my boy. Sentinel is going bananas, making the film now Independence Day. As the Decepticons who've been resting for years on the moon, so Megatron or the Fallen never decide to use this armada? I guess not. As you can see, the narrative just doesn't make any sense, but we roll. But hey, the final battle is far better structured than the last one, with Steve Jablonski's score feeling like you're reaching heaven. I know it's very shocking that the best parts of the movie include John Turturro and the Transformers. A pissed off Optimus faces off a pissed off Sentinel Prime duking each other out, but with Sentinel getting the upper hand, Megatron saves Optimus. But as a reward for saving Optimus Prime's life, he gets his head ripped off when asking for a truce. Sentinel pleads, but Optimus thought one war crime wasn't enough. The film ends abruptly, and well, hopefully this is the last film in the Michael Bay universe. There's not a lot of films where I can sit back and enjoy despite how narrowly broken they are. The first three films fall into this spectrum. These movies are clearly made for spectacle, and I respect the amount of effort and dedication Michael put in production-wise. You have folks online comparing modern CGI to these films, which is an amazing feat, by the way. These films certainly were part of revolutionizing Blockbuster. Dark of the Moon was definitely the peak of these films when it comes to that spectrum. Action was much more visible and engaging. There was actual structure of the final battle, a beginning, middle, and an end, a sense of doom with our characters having their backs turned, one being executed alive. Really pushed the PG-13 limits here, guys. Film is just dumb fun, which many will agree. It is dumb fun. Now, just to get the positives out of the way, Sentinel Prime is actually a very decent villain. Sure, the narrative doesn't make sense of the plan, but I get the idea of a fallen leader. Once the idea of the Decepticons trying to get their ace, he immediately pulled a trigger on his former allies to align himself with the Decepticons. Now, you're probably questioning, why did he join the Decepticons and not compromise a plan with the Autobots to bring Cybertron back? Well, his morale is coincide with Decepticons. They are capable of doing what needs to be done, while Optimus isn't willing to stoop such lows to bring his planet back to life. He even pokes his very morale at Optimus Prime.
Always the bravest of us, but you could never make the hard decisions.
Now, my favorite scene of his is when him and Optimus are conversing on the state of this planet compared to the final days of Cybertron. The film uses actual good writing and seeing the level of respect and how beneath Optimus is. Yeah, you know, with the two movies prior we referred him as Robo-Jesus. It's a nice student and master moment right here. The film actually achieves this and executes it pretty well.
No longer your teacher, Optimus.
With the nice payoff of a student having the lessons he learned and understanding them much better compared to his old master, who simply ignored what a Prime truly is, envisioning himself as a god to everyone when Optimus sees himself as equal instead of a different caste.
You were the one who taught me freedom is everyone's right.
Now, I wish the movie explored many of these themes and developing these robots being more human and going deep within their personalities, instead of, well, focusing more on the humans and unnecessary plot lines, characters that I really don't give a shit about.
Deep Wang.
The action and the effects, yes, I'm combining both in this section. We all go to these movies with the idea of witnessing some great action and visuals. I mean, that's what Michael Bay is known for. Let's face it, having a complete story isn't the value anymore with these movies. People want robot action, and we got that. A lot of that, actually, especially in the last hour. Starting with the highway chase where it's nothing but robots flipping cars, and the occasional Sam screaming. But the scene has its own story in play, a beginning, middle, and end. You can see what in the hell is going on. Even in the final battle, there's a beginning, middle, and an end. A structure, each fight moves in sequence, and each action isn't a bore fest. Like, I love Excalibur Optimus Prime. You see, Michael loves adding something new each film that we haven't seen previously, like Jetpack Optimus Prime in the last one. Michael loves these big moments where everyone is in awe. Optimus just cutting through with Steve's wonderful score of epicness. Yes, there are unnecessary explosions, but it's just nothing but badassery from Robo-Jesus himself. Bay also loves using practical effects. He wants to limit CGI as much as he can. He wants it real in the lens as much as possible. The the famous building collapse, they actually designed a building and filmed these scenes. Obviously the driller was CGI, but it really has become the forgotten age of filmmaking. Gone are the use of real life effects. Nowadays it's just a blob of green screen, CGI glore fest, or now AI scripts. I can appreciate the use of work and the amount of effort crewmates put into these films. Despite how many might feel about the story and characters, everyone seems to have fun, at least for these 3 films. The crewmates seem to enjoy themselves creating a style that I can appreciate and respect. Michael does still use it in his films nowadays, like in Ambulance, but I gotta say Dark of the Moon is peak action when it comes to Michael Bay. The highway chase to the Mexican standoff to the rampage scene from Optimus, or the 1v1 between Optimus and Sentinel. I can pinpoint many scenes that stand out, and trust me, there is a lot, where you can just simply sit back, maybe crack open a beer and just enjoy the ride. Well, now we're in the deep hole with this film. Film is way too long than it should be. It fucks with the pacing kinda. You see with these movies there is a trend where we get this opening scene and there's exposition which takes forever to get through. It's called disinterest. Then we get the middle action, even more exposition later, which takes forever to get through again. Because the movie just fails to keep you interested in this exposition. Because it's always something bonkers or characters you don't really give a shit about. But you know, you do get these moments where we do feel invested, but usually those are 1 minute long. Oh, the scene was supposed to be 3 minutes long. Well, it shit felt like 1 minute. Maybe don't rush your dialogue and moments which matter. And I know I've repeated myself constantly in this video, the best parts are the last hour. Unfortunately, Dark of the Moon does fall in line with this trend in Michael Bay films. But that's not the only fault it has. The human characters have no interesting qualities. Maybe John Turturro, and maybe a bit of Sam, who has somewhat of a decent arc, feeling important. But the rest really don't go through much. Lennox through 3 films is that generic military guy. Malkovich does nothing. Mirroring is that walking fast director's intelligence who challenges Sam later on to be proven wrong. Carly only plays useful in that last bit when she encourages Megatron to turn on Sentinel, or being the leverage for Dylan, the car man, to get a hold of Sam. But it's all there just to have human characters or attempt at an exposition for scenes to get the story going after 2 minutes of action. It's a structure that it's reached its highest point in this franchise as the later films gloat this format. But when you just keep on adding more horrible characters constantly each film that nobody gives a crap about, well, almost 3 hours can feel like 6 hours. I'll give that the film is very self-aware that is not really trying to focus on a compelling story, as there are many errors in its storyline, as there are already plot holes and retcons that existed from the second one. But it's not far detrimental than the later 2. We can all agree that it is a step up from the second one. It's far more focused, especially in the last hour, on the Transformers instead of someone else who many don't care about, getting more screen time than, let's say, Sideswipe. Sentinel is far more intriguing villain than the Fallen, who's merely a joke in the second one. Didn't play a huge role, instead he sat on his comfy Cybertronian couch until the film meeting him in the most convenient events. Also, I just want to point out, Optimus Prime is a complete psychopath in this movie. I guess there is a development in Optimus Prime. Each movie just seems to build on his anger and rage. He becomes more violent, and sometimes his plans are questionable, like proving a point and having the entire Decepticon army wipe out humans so you can have a gotcha moment with the director of intelligence. That sounds actually pretty f***ed up. Yeah, killing thousands of people just to have a point. But all in all, Dark of the Moon serves its purpose as being a blockbuster movie. It's a fun movie that you can enjoy, maybe have some buddies over. You can even laugh at stupid moments that happen in the movie. It's not that much irritating like the last 2, because at least Sam is much more tolerable than Cade Yeager. And I did wish Michael Bay listened to Spielberg of stopping here, because even 6 years later, the franchise is still trying to dig itself out. Anyways, that's it from me, so yeah, see ya.
Tell Megatron, let's tango.